Hi there, Shutterbugs. Today we'll be doing a lens review over the Sony 24 2.8 G lens and the Tamron 24 2.8 lens in comparison. Let's get started. So while there are still a back order of cameras going on, so you guys are seeing fewer camera walkthroughs lately, that is because of the reason it's been really hard to get my hands on some of the newer cameras that I have not done yet. But don't worry, I haven't pulled away from doing walkthroughs. The availability is just very low right now, as most of you can imagine, probably trying to order some of those new cameras. So today I bring you a lens comparison and review of the 24mm Sony versus Tamron. Now, in these past videos where I have done a Tamron and name brand option, I typically will go with the Tamron option just because they're an extremely close comparison and you know, it's going to be a cheaper price, but I actually got to say my decision was a little swayed on this one. So with the Sony 24, it is a G lens. So while Sony has 3 tiers of lenses, they have their G Master, which is their professional grade. They have their G lenses, which is high-end but not quite professional. And then they just have their standard lenses. So this lies somewhere in the middle where it's still high-end but not the highest end. It's also really small. I want to say it's part of their like 3 Musketeer line, where you have the 24, the 20, the 24, and the 35 or the 30. I'll double check that for you. But I wanted to compare it directly with Tamron's 24 2.8. The Sony definitely was fast focusing, quiet, like completely silent, which was great. Tack sharp. It worked really well with my camera. And of course, what's nice about the Sony lens itself is it does have this nice aperture ring here that will go all the way down to 2.8, as well as the click option if you wanted to have a little bit more click to that aperture ring there. Otherwise, it would be nice and smooth. And then of course you have your autofocus and manual focus switch, as well as a shortcut button, which you don't typically find on these smaller prime lenses, which is really nice. You can program that to do whatever you'd like. You want a shortcut for ISO, your focusing mode, focusing area, that type of thing. The Sony will do that. And like I said, the Sony was extremely impressive, as it should be on my Sony camera. On the other hand, the Tamron, while I usually am a huge fan of the Tamron, one huge thing that I noticed, while it is really simple, you know, there's no switches, nothing like that, they made it to be minimal, you definitely can see that there is a size difference, which usually this is opposite when it comes to the Tamron lenses. Tamron lenses are typically smaller, so that was kind of nice to see out of the Sony. But another big thing that I noticed when swapping the lenses back and forth is that this Tamron is oddly loud when it's focusing, especially if it's starts from its closest point to focus out, or vice versa. It gets a little clunky. So I did notice that. So I wouldn't say that this is ideal for video. You definitely want to go with the Sony version. But the one thing that the Tamron had a one-up on the Sony is that this lens, while it is a 24mm and a 2.8 aperture just like the Sony, has a macro 1:2 ratio. So it allows you to get much, much closer to a subject than the Sony will. So if you like to get a lot of detail, you're doing primarily photography, no video, you want the option to have a wide angle with good light intake for street photography or landscapes, but also the opportunity to get really close to a subject like flowers or insects to get a little, much more of that detail there, then I'd say definitely go with the Tamron. But for everything else, for focusing speeds, for size, for future compatibility, for video especially, go with the Sony. Now, considering the price difference, for the Sony, of course, it is going to be about $600 in the US, and the Tamron is typically going to go for $250 regular price if neither of these are on sale in the US currently. So, as always, you're looking at Tamron being nearly half the price, in this case even more so. So depending on what your style of photography is, or video, or if you want to get close, or if you primarily need a street or landscape lens, that's what's going to judge whether or not you're going to buy the Sony version or the Tamron. If you guys have any questions about either of these lenses, please go ahead and leave me a comment below. If you want to see a specific lens comparison that you've been batting back and forth, also comment below, I'll add it to my list. And until next time, keep your eye out for inspiration, Shutterbugs. Bye.